Good morning. Welcome to Yin Yoga. So today's peak pose is going to be the frog pose. So that's the one where we start in tabletop and knees kind of come out to the side. I'll also offer a half frog option for people whose knees, back, hips, what have you, just don't like full frog. I also recommend a bolster. Sometimes that helps in frog when we can prop up our torso a little bit and have that support. I recommend a few blankets for that. We will use a strap towards the end. Blocks you may or may not need. It just depends on how high you need full frog support, if that's where you're going to go. And today we're going to start very differently. We're actually going to start on our backs. So that being said, make sure that your space on each side will facilitate a nice big arm circle and rotation without knocking things over or getting caught up into something. So we will start on our back. So we'll come there. And I'm going to put a bend in my knees here. Let me just kind of move down. I'm going to put a bend in my knees here. Just because that helps the back sometimes since it's not really warm just yet. I'm just going to let my hands just kind of relax to the side for a moment. You can wiggle, wiggle, wiggle. So settling in here, you can close the eyes or keep them open. And even from here, even though your ground is supporting you, could you still soften and release into that ground just a little bit more? Now, softening here is going to feel different than when we soften when we're in a seat. And then bring that awareness to the breath. So it's a little bit easier to determine here if you have that nice expansion in the rib cage, because on the floor, you can feel that sense of expansion in a little bit of a different way. Maybe put a little bit of a smile on the face. And the reason I'm having you do that is because, for one, everybody looks better when they smile. But two, it helps widen the collarbone just a little bit. Good. So from here, I'm going to place my left hand on my heart, my right hand on the belly, and I'm just going to breathe here. I'm noticing what sensations come up as I breathe and expand. And exhale. I'm incorporating the Ujjayi pranayama, that ocean breath. You can bring that in as well. Big inhale and expand. Exhale and release. We'll do this one more time. Inhale to expand. Exhale and release. Good. So we'll take both hands over the heart space. So you can put one hand on top of the other. And find your intention here. So what would you like to give or receive? Maybe you'd like to dedicate this to someone or something. So I'm not going to give you an intention today. I'm going to let you determine and choose your own. It can be a word. It can be a phrase. It can be a picture in your mind. It can be serious. It can be lighthearted. Find what you need. And then once you have that set, good. Carefully take the hands back down to the side. Good. I'm going to take both legs long in front of me. I'm going to take my arms behind, and I'm going to get a full body stretch here, lengthening from the fingertips to the toes. Good. And then I'm just going to take my arms back down here, and I'm going to put a bend back in my knees. So we're going to go into pinwheel here. So pinwheel is going to give us a little bit of rotation prep. It's also going to get into the shoulders a little bit here. So from here, I'm going to turn over to my right side. And the reason I'm turning over to the right side first is because when I roll over on the right side, that's the side that tends to come towards the camera, but it doesn't really matter what side you start on. And I'm just going to have my legs in a comfortable position. So for me, that's going to be kind of bent knees and legs stacked. So I've got my right arm straight out in front. My left arm is on top here, and I'm trying to line my fingertips up with each other. Good. So from here, big inhale to prepare. We're going to take that top arm We're going to slide it. We're going to drag it along the ground, and you're going to go to your range of motion. And your range of motion may not look like my range of motion. And as I open towards the back, I'm opening that torso. And I'm looking at that hand. So you always want to kind of look where you're going. And then I'm just going to let that come all the way back up and come back to the close. We'll do that again. So take it, notice what sensations you feel. Belly button stays in here. Good, and coming up and coming down. We'll do this one more time and we'll change this up a little bit. So we'll take it back. Good, and taking it back forward. Good, so just a little bit more rotation here. Stack your hands. And we're just going to open straight back and then close. We'll do that 2 times. So from here, we're just going to open. Good. My wall's in my way. Hopefully you don't have a wall in your way. Good. And close. And last time we'll open and close. Good. From here, come on back onto your back. Before we take that series to the other side, we're going to go into Bananasana for 2 minutes. Good. And so from here, because we worked on opening up, we're going to take our legs long in front of us to begin. Good. And then I'm going to take my hands forward. I'm going to take my right hand to my left wrist. And I'm just going to take everything kind of behind. Now I'm going to take my upper body and I'm going to kind of shift it over towards the right. Once you're in position there, if this feels okay, you can take the right leg, it's going to go to the right. And then the left leg is going to slide along behind it. Some people like to cross left on top of right. That's also okay if it's okay for you. And then from here, we're going to breathe and expand for 2 minutes. Yes. Now, as you're here, you become a little bit more loosened up in the side body. You can try this side bend a little bit deeper, and that might mean taking legs out a little bit more to the right. Might mean a little bit more of a side bend with the torso. So different people want to move in different ways, and that's okay. I'm still trying to breathe and expand through my rib cage here, and I'm reconnecting with intention. So just like we do when we're sitting and we prepare the spine through rotation and side bending, same thing here. We got rotation with pinwheel. We're getting side bending with Bananasana. Also gives us a little bit of an opportunity to get into the shoulders just a little bit, which we don't do too often in Yin. There's more connective tissue in the lower body. That's why there's more lower body focus. Good. So from here, I'm going to carefully undo my upper body first. I'm going to take that back in the center. I'll carefully undo my legs and take them back to center. I'm going to bend my knees here just a little bit and just wiggle, wiggle, wiggle back to center. Just kind of release anything that may have built up there. Now we're going to take that whole series onto the other side. So just so that I'm not having my back to the camera too much, I'm just going to kind of switch around here. But you're welcome to stay where you are, just rolling to the other side. So setting up for pinwheel. Now I'm on my left side. I'm going to take my legs to where it's comfortable for them. My left arm is straight out. My right arm's going to come on top and stack. And I want to try and keep the fingertips even. And then from here, when we're ready, good. We're just going to drag that right arm up, Take it around, look behind. I've got stuff in my way. Good. And then we'll take that back up. Good. And then we'll rotate again. Notice the stretchies in the chest, the torso, and the shoulder. And then we'll take that back up. One last time here, and then we'll do open and close. Good. Good. Now open and close. So fingers and arms are stacked. Big inhale to prepare. Exhale, we're going to open, taking it back and close. And we'll open and close. Let's do one more time. Open and close. Good. Coming on to the back. We're going to take Bananasana to the other side now. So making sure my timer's all right. Good. So from here, I'm taking both legs long. I'm going to take my arms behind me. This time, right hand is going to grab left wrist. To left. Yes, we're going to side bend to the left. So I'm going to take that torso to the left. Good. Now I'm going to take my legs towards the left. And you can keep them side by side. You can cross the right leg on top of the left. You just kind of choose where you want to be there. Breathe and expand. And we'll be here for 2 minutes. And noticing differences between one side and the other. For example, the right side, which is the side that we're stretching here, is not normally my tighter side, but today it feels like it is. And keep your expansion. Sometimes people cough here. We hold a lot in this area, the heart chakra area. So just like when we do side lying over that bolster, sometimes we cough. You can get that same response here. A friendly reminder, pain, numbness, tingling, burning, any kind of sensations like that. We've gone too far past our limit. We want to back off until we no longer feel those sensations, even if it means completely coming out of something early. There's our 2 minutes. I'm going to undo upper body first, coming back to center, undoing the legs, taking them back to center. Good. Putting a bend in those knees and just kind of doing a little windshield wiper here. So while we're down here, we're going to make the most of it. So we're going to start off with another twist. We're going to do a one knee twist. We'll be in this one for 3 minutes to each side. So I'm going to start with taking my left leg long. I'm going to bring my right knee in. Good. And maybe you need to kind of take your time here, a little bit of dynamic movement before you do so. So maybe bring that knee into the chest a little bit and then back off. And then bring it in a little bit and then back off. And then maybe one more time, we can bring it in a little bit here. Left hand on the outside of that right thigh, right arm to the side. You're going to twist to the left. If you need support under this knee or leg, find your support. Otherwise, you can look to the right, and we'll be here for 3 minutes. So you should feel this in the hip a little bit here as well. And we've already warmed up the torso with Bananasana and the Pinwheel. So another reminder, anytime we've got a hand on the outside of a thigh here, like we do on this one, remember it's a light touch, it's a light support. We're not death gripping, we're not pushing, we're not pulling, we're not forcing twists and things to happen. So just kind of remember that. I'm going to be mindful to our low back. And this is active. So we still have belly button into the spine. We're drawing up from pubic bone to behind the navel. Remember, your body will let you know when it's safe to sink deeper. And this one, just like seated ones, we don't want to crank through the spine. So your body will be your guide. So from here, carefully take head back to center. Carefully, if you want to, assist your leg as you move back to center as well. And maybe just take a little circle here, if that would feel good on that side. And then when you're ready, we're going to take that to the other side. So now my right leg is going to come long. I'm going to bend in my left knee. So again, if you need to move dynamically before you come in there, give yourself that time. So maybe pull in and then back off, and bring it in and back off. And then maybe we bring it in, right hand on the outside of the left arm comes long. Good. And then we'll take that twist over to the right, support your knee, support that leg as needed. And breathe and expand. Belly button is still in tight here. We're not letting go of our core muscles. Remember, light grip on the outside here, if that's okay. And if at any point, I do cue, putting your hand there. If that doesn't feel good to you, just take your arms along to the side. You notice already the difference between one hip and the other, not because one has been stretched for 3 minutes and the other one hasn't. But the last side was really tight for me. This side, it doesn't feel as tight. Just kind of notice your differences. Good. So from here, taking the head back to center, carefully support yourself as you come back into center. Good. And you can just take both knees into the chest and maybe just rock, rock, rock. We're going to go into a happy baby from here. So like I said, we're capitalizing on our time on our backs while we're here. So we'll go into that, and I'll give you happy adult as an option as well. So happy baby, typically feet are parallel to the ceiling. You're in an external rotation from the hips. So hips, knees, and toes turn out away from the body as the heels swing inward. You take a grip on the outside or the inside of the foot. You can take yogi toe here. For some of us, that's too tight, so maybe we come to happy adult, just letting the knees bend, the shins relax down, feet don't touch, but maybe your grip is more at the shin or the ankle. You're still opening the hip and you're still opening it in the same way, just a little bit less intense. So we'll be here for 3 minutes as well. Good. Okay, come back here. And whether you're in chosen happy baby or happy adult, and remember, you can start with happy adult and then go to happy baby. You can start with happy baby and then transfer to happy adult as well. Don't feel like you have to be committed to one or the other. Could you find length from crown to tail? And could you draw up from pubic bone to behind the navel? Could you keep the breath expansion? Feel free to bring in that ocean breath, that ujjayi breath, victorious breath. If you're watching me here, I have an inside grip on my feet for happy baby. And it's okay. Sometimes you need to move the hand and the finger around to find the best grip for the moment. So never be afraid to try small little things to make something feel just a little bit better. So again, remember, your body's your guide. As your body's ready to relax, it'll relax deeper into it. Good. So from here, before we come out of happy baby or happy adult, find an ankle or a shin grip if you were in happy baby, and just roll the ankles around for a moment in one direction. Good. And then in the other. So remember, snap, crackle, pop, like my ankles are doing. Hopefully you can't hear those noises. Is perfectly normal as long as there's no pain associated with those sounds. Good. And then from here, we're just going to gently bring the knees back in. Now, we're going to start to transition. If it would feel good to you for a moment to take your legs long here and find another full body stretch, find that. And then when you're ready, in the way that's best for you, we're going to roll over onto our side and then carefully press ourselves up. Good. We're going to continue to prep the hips and the lower body for frog. We're going to start in a child's pose here. We've already started opening up, but we're going to go into child's pose here. So I'm going to give you some options for your child's pose. So again, and we're going to be here for 2 minutes on this one, and I'll show you why. So knees can be together as wide as your mat, maybe somewhere in between. You can take your arms long in front of you. Shoulders still don't like that. You can take the hands back by the ankles. Try not to come all the way back into your deepest child's pose right at first. Just kind of come up a little bit and then let your body settle in. Those of you that want more shoulder action here, you can bring your blocks in. You can also bring a sturdy pillow in here. Good. I'm just going to kind of come this way. Good. And you can take your arms over that. Your head will drop through center. And then over time while we're here, you'll just kind of get deeper and deeper into the space as well as the hips. So we'll try this one. Let me reset here. 2 minutes. And whenever you're ready, go ahead, find the child's pose that's appropriate for your body in this moment. Wherever you've chosen, remember, we're still active. So we're still breathing and expanding. We're still drawing up from pubic bone to behind the navel. And remember, I'm using blocks here, but that's an option and always an option, not a requirement. So if this isn't where you want to be or where you need to be, don't be here. Take it to the floor. Reconnect with your intention. Maybe your intention is to eat a little bit healthier. And my husband's out of town this week. He's out of the country, actually. So I'm taking the opportunity to eat healthy foods that he does not like and kind of sometimes gets aggravated when I buy it. So he's not here to do that. So that's what I'm doing. So we do what we can, just like with our food and the people we live with, just like our poses. So carefully come out of there in the way that's best for you. And I'm going to move my blocks out of the way. And I'm just going to take a moment here to come into some gentle cat-cows. So from all four, just nice big inhale and then exhale and inhale and exhale one more time. Inhale and exhale. Good. So just to make sure that we get into some extension a little bit, I like to try to move the spine in all directions in every yin class as much as possible. We're going to come down onto the belly. Now, actually, before I do that, let me give you another option here. So sometimes we need a little support with this one under the pelvis, depending on what's going on in low back. So I recommend a folded blanket. It can be like this. It can be the way that I have it when I usually sit on it. How thick it needs to be is up to you. You can even have it just a little bit, unfolding it this way, which is actually what I'm going to do today. I'm going to have this here. Good. So if you're going to use a little bit of pelvic support, you want to have your hip bone, your ASIS, the front of that hip bone, right on the edge of that fold. where it's propping you up here. Good. Okay. So I am going to demonstrate Sphinx. So I'm going to stay on my forearms. If you want to come up a little bit higher, somewhere into the seal, feel free to take that if you want that in your practice today. I'm just going to take my arms forward. Good. Now, I want my belly button to be in. I don't have to worry about lengthening so much or pressing my pelvis or pubic bone rather into the floor because I'm supported with this blanket today. And then from here, when you're ready, this will be a 3-minute one. No, we don't want to be here for 5 minutes. Sometimes my timer, which admittedly is my kitchen timer, has a little mind of its own. Good. So then from here, I've got my belly button in. I'm just going to press away from the floor with my elbows, my shoulders, my forearms, and then I'm going to shine my heart forward a little bit here. Good. So I'm relaxing my shoulders down. I don't want any crunching into the low spine. And I'm still breathing and expanding here. If you tightened up through your glutes, relax there. And notice if you relax through the glutes, does that make the low back feel a little bit better? I took a reformer training over the weekend and I learned a little bit of a different cue for the low back when you're belly down. So even just like reformer, outcome can be the same when you apply that to yoga or mat work. So I'm kind of giving you a little bit of a flavor of that different cueing here. It never really hurt my back or anything like that, but not being as intense in the low body with that engagement, just being a little bit more belly button in actually makes it slightly feel better. So I hope it does for you too. We're about at the halfway point. I'm going to give you another option. Whether you're in Sphinx or in a seal variation, if you want to just take that head and neck from side to side, you can go there. If you want to take a little semicircle here, you can go there. Do what feels good. Bring your attention back to your shoulders periodically. Make sure they're not getting creepy by the ears. You want to be supported there. Good. And then from here, when you're ready, carefully come down from where you went. Make a recovery pillow with your hands. And we're going to wiggle, wiggle, wiggle here. If you are someone that would feel better to press back into a child's pose here instead of being belly down doing a wiggle, then listen to your body and take that child's pose. Good. And then when you're ready, we're going to take hands underneath the shoulders and we'll press ourselves up. So we're going to get a nice, good low back stretch here before we come into frog. So we're going to come into caterpillar, which is our seated forward fold. And I'm going to sit up on a blanket for this one. So I'm refolding this. Good. And some people like to bring in a bolster cushion or something like that here too, to kind of support the upper body if you need that. If you don't need that, no worries. You can put this to the side for now. And some of us are going to have legs together. Some of us are going to have a little bit of a space there, and that's okay too. We'll all take a little bit of an anterior tilt of the pelvis. So tailbone is going to come back. Hip bones are going to rock forward. This is not going to be the deepest caterpillar we're due. This is just going to be a 3-minute one. So and also to support underneath the knees if you're super tight in the hamstrings, just so that they don't hyperextend here. So from here, we'll take a big inhale and reach. Exhale, hinge from the hips first. Not your full hinge, but almost to your greatest capacity. And then take the arms down. Let everything kind of settle in. 3 minutes in caterpillar. Think about breathing and expanding into the back body here. So belly button is still in. Just because we went into a forward fold doesn't mean we release it. Return to your breath and your intention. When your body's ready, it'll want to sink deeper on the exhales. And if that's safe for you to do so, you're welcome to allow that. Good. So remember, we never want to just snap out of caterpillar. So carefully walk yourself up. Good. And we'll relieve some of that. Very, very gentle rotation in one direction. We'll take gentle rotation in the other direction. Sit crisscross applesauce for a moment, hands to the knees. We're going to shine our heart forward. Inhale, exhale, just find that little bit of extension. Good. And release. Now we're going to set up for a peak pose, which is frog pose. So for that one, let me move this forward. I'm going to undo some of my blankets here so I can prepare for greater knee cushion. So some of you may not need the knee cushion, and that's okay. Some of you might be like me. We never know from day to day what we're going to need and what we're not going to need. So we just have all these props just in case we have or need something. Good. Good. And then from here, and I'm just going to do one more. Good. Actually, before I say that, so if you don't have a big cushion like that, and you know that you might need some support, but maybe not that much support under the torso, taking your blanket and folding it, kind of like how I have it folded to sit, will give you a little bit of support, but maybe not that thick, and you can place it the same way that you can your bolster cushion. So just know that there's always ways to make something work for your needs. And if you have other questions, just let me know after class and I'll answer them. So let me give a modification first, because once I get into full frog, I kind of want to stay there. So those of you where full frog might not be your jam today, then you will start by coming onto your belly, and then you'll just bring one leg up. Form is the same. Hip and knee are in alignment. Knee and ankle are in alignment. You're in that external rotation, so your toes are also facing away. And then halfway through, you'll just switch your legs. Okay? So it's a little bit less intense, but if that's what you need, that's what you need. Everybody else is going to follow me for full frog for 3 minutes. Start at your tabletop position. Make sure you're where your knees are going to have their cushion. Good. And then I'm going to pull my bolster in here just because I like to at least start with this most of the time. And then as I settle in, I can always get rid of it. Then I'm just going to let my knees slide out to the side. See how I'm trying to keep my knee and my hip in alignment here. Good. And I'm just going to go where I can go. Now, I cannot come all the way down to the floor today. So I'm going to support myself with this bolster. And I want this bolster to be all the way back there. So from pubic bone to the sternum, I've got support. Okay. And then from here, arms are out to the side. And we'll be here for 3 minutes. So you can take your head in one direction, and at the halfway point, you'll switch to the other side. Now, if you're super, super tight and you can't even go down this far, your blocks, you can put blocks underneath the bolster. That'll lift the bolster up higher. You can put a folded blanket on top of your bolster. That will lift you higher, or a couple. And be mindful that most people have their hips more forward than what they should be, because it is intense to have the hips and the knees in alignment. So if this suddenly starts to feel easy to you, be mindful, are your hips and knees in alignment? They probably need to come back a little bit. This is not meant to be a pose where you're so comfortable you could fall asleep here. No yin pose should ever be that comfortable. This is an active practice, but definitely this one, you shouldn't be able to fall asleep here. Good. So we're about at the halfway point. So you can turn your head to the other direction, or take half frog on the other side if that's the route you chose to take. Relax to the hips. Belly button is in, but can you release through the pelvis a little bit. Stay with the expansion of the rib cage on your inhale. Good. So those of you that went into half frog, just take your legs long. Those of you that followed me into full, carefully take one leg long at a time. Good. And then I'm going to just kind of carefully slip back here. I'm going to take a child's pose as I move my bolster out of the way. Those of you that are completely down, feel free to press back into a child's pose for a moment. Good. And then from here, when you're ready, good. I'm just going to move these blankets, my knee supports here, out of the way. Good. And then from here, we're going to make our way back down to the floor. We're going to come back onto our backs, and we'll finish where we started. This is where we're going to bring in the strap, the belt, the band, whatever it is that you have. If you don't have one, you can hold on with your hands. But I'm going to shift down here. Yeah. And just for a moment, after you pull up your pants, if you need to do that, just kind of wiggle, wiggle, wiggle here from side to side. Get a nice little windshield wiper going. Good. So from here, I'm going to take a bend in my left leg. I'm going to grab my strap. I'm going to take this strap around the center part of the right foot. Good. And we'll do this a little bit dynamically as well. Now, I'm bending my left knee. If you're fine with taking that leg long and that doesn't hurt your back or anything like that, feel free to go there as well. But we're going to find a grip here that's appropriate for your range. A little micro bend in the knee. Everything's going to settle into its socket. So from here, I'm just going to let that leg come long for a moment and take it towards the face. And we'll go long and take it towards the face. One more time. We'll lengthen. We'll take it towards the face. Find your grip. Find your stretch. Find the length. Good. And then from here, we'll release. Both straps into the right hand. Both hips are going to stay grounded. Both shoulders stay grounded. So again, we're going to do that dynamic movement. A little bit to the right, not your full range of motion. Bring it back in. A little bit to the right. Bring it back in. Taking it to the right. Go where you're good with taking it while hips are grounded. And you can decide to settle in here or a little bit of a tug towards the face, towards the shoulder. Careful not to lock out your knee. And if your left hip is popping up, that means your right leg is too far out to the right. So lift that right leg up just a little bit till both hips can be anchored. Now, if you don't have a strap, you're going to kind of hold your leg out here with your hand. I forgot to say that with the first thing we did, but hopefully you were able to figure that out. And we'll bring that back up to center. Your left leg will go long here if you had it bent, and we're going to switch sides. So again, we'll do this dynamically as we come over into our full and final twist. For some of you might be 45. We're just going to arc over and then come back center. And arc over and come back to center. Some of you will arc and stay there, long leg or bent knee. Some of you are going to come over a little bit more. Maybe you come all the way over in a full spinal twist, keeping leg in line with the hip. So don't let the foot flop on the floor. My wall is preventing me from going all the way over there, actually. I'm just going to scoot over. Good. Now I've got my space. My shoulders are grounded. Maybe looking to the right. And when you're ready, head will come back to center. We'll slowly bring that leg back in the center. Good. And then from here, I'm just going to do a little circle. And the knee doesn't have to be straight. You can totally do this with a bent knee like this. Just do what feels good. And then when you're ready, we'll switch to the other side. So right knee can be bent or extended long, be what feels good to you. Again, find your grip. So if you don't have strap, you're going to hold to the back of the thigh or to the shin. And when you're ready, here's that dynamic movement. Gently take it back into the face and release. And to the face and release. And to the face, we'll hold it there. Go to your limit. Micro bend in the knee. We're still finding length from crown to tail. We're still zipping up from pubic bone to behind the navel. Or belly button into the spine. And then from here, release. Both hands into the strap or hand on the outside of this leg. Both hips stay grounded. And again, we'll come out a little bit, not full range, and come back center. We'll come out a little bit and come back center. And we'll take it out to go to your range, your comfort level. You can relax in the strap or tug in towards the shoulder. Lost my train of words there. Both hips stay grounded. And when you're ready, we'll bring that back in the center. Good. Switching out the hands. So your right leg's going to come long if you had it bent. And here we go again. Gentle arc over and come back center. Arc over, back to center. From here, you can take the 45-degree arc. You can bring that leg all the way over, keeping it in line with the hip. Maybe looking to the left. Good. And when you're ready, head back to center. We'll bring that leg back to center. You can release that foot from the strap. Good. And then I'm just going to take my knees into my chest here. I'm going to lift my upper body. I'm going to hug myself. Good. We made it. So short Shavasana today. You can set yourself up with props however you would like to. I'm conveniently using my legs here to shift my bolster. Good. And then I'm going to come down here. Good. So somewhat back where we started, maybe roll your shoulders back, maybe a little bit of a smile on the face. See if you could soften somewhere just a little bit more, making yourself about 10% more comfortable. And I will leave you here to drop into the heart space. Sink into this space. Reconnect with intention in your breath. Take some deeper breaths here. Choose stillness or gently take head and neck from side to side. Choose stillness or invite movement of the fingers and the toes. Maybe running thumbs along the edges of the fingertips. Maybe taking this as an opportunity to squeeze the toes and open the toes. Maybe wiggling the toes. And choosing stillness, or maybe taking knees back into the chest. Choosing to keep your upper body grounded, or maybe you want to lift it again into full body hug. And choosing stillness, or moving any props out of the way that you may have used during your Shavasana time. Taking legs long in front of you, arms long behind you. One more time, find that full body stretch, lengthening from fingertips to the toes. Point and flex through the feet. Bend and stretch through the hands, twirling wrists and ankles in one direction, and then in the other. And then from here, whenever you're ready, carefully bending in both knees, and you choose rolling over onto your right or left side, the side that works best for you in this moment. Staying here as long as your body needs you to, but when you're ready, carefully come up to a seat. Good. Finding a little bit of length in the spine, thinking about the ears, the shoulders, and the hips, noticing how you feel. Palms towards the ceiling. Inhale, reach, 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 and lengthen. Touching palms together. Exhale, hands in the heart center. Reconnecting with that intention you made for yourself one final time. We'll take thumbs to the forehead for good and true thoughts. To our lips for good and kind words. And to our hearts for open and loving hearts, knowing no effort on this mat is ever wasted, no gain is ever reversed. May you be safe, may you stay well, may you have a wonderful day, evening, and week ahead. Thank you so much for practicing with me. Namaste.